The commentary you're about to hear is from Helena Harris and Helen Martin. Helena is one of the co-creators of Hi-5, and Helen is Hi-5's early childhood advisor.
Hi-5 in the air, let's do it together. Hi-5!
Do you want to come for a wild ride? With lots of fantastic music.
You can even join us for a dance. Or pretend to be on a roller coaster. Yeah!
So come on, let's go.
It's time for Music Machine!
All of our videos, just as all of our programs, start with our Song of the Week. And on our videos we have 3 songs of the week, all of them with special choreography.
Our choreographer is a specially trained early childhood person as well as an expert in dance, so she creates wonderful movements that children can follow quite easily. And the children here in the audience are taught the moves to the song because we want children at home to see children participating, enjoying it.
And Helen, you actually work quite closely with the choreographer, don't you, to actually ensure that all of these moves are not only easy to do for our audience, but also help with right and left brain integration, with balance, with coordination.
Yes, I've done quite a bit of movement with young children myself, so it's rather a passion of mine, and it quite amazed me to see how effectively young children could follow most of these movements in the studio. And certainly most youngsters can join in with the chorus, which is particularly simple and particularly repetitive, and the gestures are sometimes crossing the midline, sometimes just moving out in space, but they're not really intrinsically difficult. When you get into studio and watch how Hi-5 sometimes put everything together, it looks much more complicated and exciting, and sometimes the children just stop and watch with open mouth, but essentially they can follow the movements, and after a couple of times it's go, go, go robots.
And is this helpful for them in something other than just dance, do you think?
Well, I really do believe it's an essential way that children learn. Very young children explore their world through movement, and as they're learning about new things, they try it out through movement. They move, they make sounds, it's important for them to find a way of controlling their bodies, and this is all a great help to that.
So parents should encourage their children to get up and dance to Hi-5 if they need to, if their children are not already getting up and doing it.
I think it's a great way to move. Here's an animation introducing the next segment on wordplay. Te, a, pu. Children sound out the letters and they're almost reading.
Oh, almost forgot. Remote control.
Kelly's segment is in fact all about playing with words and linguistic concepts. Her and Chats have a wonderful time chatting, but very often with lots of interesting new words.
I wonder what's inside.
Words are such an empowering thing for young children. We, as adults, forget that we're able to describe our feelings, our ideas, what's happening in the world. But young children are learning the words, and this helps give them a greater sense of control, as well as having a lot of fun being able to express your feelings. We're also exploring sounds quite a lot, because the whole idea of wordplay is that children become good at discriminating sounds. Here, if you listen to the song, you might hear some repeated songs. She's playing a big brass band, and the jungle music goes boom, boom, boom to the beat. So there's lots of repeated sounds and syllables for children to pick up and really enjoy that.
And then you can press the remote control button, okay?
Yep, I'm ready, Kat.
One of the other interesting things about all of our segments is that we try and ensure that a wide age range is entertained, and certainly music and jokes cover a wide age range. But we do try and ensure that the words that we use are simple enough so that quite a young child can actually understand them. And then the interesting words that we put in there are put in context so that they will then be able to learn what those interesting words mean.
Yes, it's really a living language segment so that children are seeing as well as hearing, and as Helena said, putting it into a context that's meaningful. And of course the songs. The songs are all about singing words, aren't they? And singing sounds, and it's a very painless way to learn vocabulary.
And does it help that they have particular movements that go with particular words?
I think that just helps simplify it for children, but also it helps them embody it. There is a saying that, I do and I understand. So there's something about that kinesthetic, that body way of feeling the word, the rhythm and the pattern of it. When you repeat that, it's easier to remember.
So that the children are able then to learn it through their muscles.
I think so.
And that's what kinesthetic actually means.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go jungle, elephant music. Boom, boom, boom.
Wow, now I've seen everything.
Stretch.
Here's a Charlie's segment, and all of Charlie's segments are primarily there for the physical child, the child who actually learns kinesthetically, learns through their muscles, and which is one of the philosophies of Hi-5, that we actually cater for all children. Children who learn visually and orally, of course, are fairly easily catered for in television, and we certainly cater for those, but we also ensure that the kinesthetic child, the child that learns kinesthetically, is also catered for.
Charlie also makes things very accessible for anyone watching. She invites you in. She does things in a simple, direct way so that you're party to her experience.
This is a Tim segment. Tim segments always look at music in different ways. Hard to believe when he's doing a roller coaster act that he's going to look at music, but he will.
Well, we're exploring roller coaster sounds today, and it's actually about musical pitch. And the song he sings plays with the words and sounds that go up, 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 and down, down, down. So there's quite an interesting idea behind it all, even though it looks very, very simple.
I was just playing a roller coaster game. Do you want to have a go?
And the Hi-5 songs are carefully chosen so children learn about these things in a really fun way. It doesn't feel hard work. You're singing a silly song with the movements matching. Learning about the pitch going up as you stretch up and going down as the body sinks down.
And one of the things that parents, I'm sure, will appreciate is that Hi-5 learns along with the child at home. Certainly the person presenting the segment may have an idea, but other members of Hi-5 experience it along with the child at home. And so they're learning about this at the same time as everybody else is, which is a much more inclusive way of learning.
It does give a real spontaneity to it, a sense of enthusiasm and let's all join in.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, this does look like really good fun.
All the different sounds that go with these roller coaster experiences. Whoa. It's actually a really good listening skill, helping children with auditory discrimination so that they begin to distinguish sounds, and this is a wonderful help when learning to read as well as developing your musical knowledge.
It looks to me like our director, Ian Munro, had great fun with the segment as well. Ian, like so many of our creatives, has a child in the age group and understands at a deep level what actually works to entertain and educate children in the 2 to 8 age group.
Just like the writers. We're pretty unique in that we have writers with children in the age group and specialist writers in their own segments.
Yes, I dare say again that most parents would probably not realise that we actually do have specialist writers for each segment.
Circle, triangle, rectangle, circle, circle, rectangle, square.
Charlie's segments are about movement, but she's often replaying an idea that's been introduced before so that children have another way of experiencing it and integrating that knowledge. So in that very direct way that she's working, the child sort of responds through the body. But it's like, let's try it this way this time.
All of Hi-5 actually relate directly to the child at home. You will notice that they're always looking at the camera, in fact, directly relating to that child at home.
Charlie makes this look so simple, but you try going round and round in space and up and down at the same time.
And
It's
singing.
quite a skill, a coordination exercise at its best.
I like watching traffic lights. Traffic lights are cool.
Helena, Kathleen always makes this look so simple and so easy, and yet we had enormous challenges with this particular segment because it's all about logical thinking and mathematical scientific ideas, and we need to present it in a playful, very logical way that children can understand.
Stop and go.
Yes, it is actually quite a difficult segment to do. And Kathleen plays this so well because, of course, she never sees Jup Jup. And Jup Jup is always there tricking her. And yet she manages to actually incorporate whatever trick he plays on her and come up with a wonderful solution. She problem solves it and always comes up with a positive result.
It's amazing to me how she always has these terrible events happen to her best laid plans, and then, as you say, finds a solution that's really creative and interesting. Not always as she originally conceived it, but I guess that's what the segment is about, saying there are different ways to solve problems and work them through and put 2 and 2 together and maybe come up with something very different.
And meanwhile, in this particular case, it's also showing children different colours and a pattern of colours that they will need to know when they're actually out in the world.
Very, very important traffic rules.
Absolutely. One of the other wonderful things about Kathleen is that when we started doing our stage show, that she became really aware of how much the audience love Jup Jup. Unfortunately, of course, Kathleen can never, ever see Jup Jup, so she doesn't quite know what he looks like.
But that's very empowering for children, I think, because they know something that Kathleen doesn't.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, they say red stop, change to green go, green go, green go, change to yellow, yellow slow, change to red stop.
going shopping in the city.
This is another one of those situations where Charlie's picking up on something from the segment before and presenting it again in a different way. Repetition, of course, is very important for the early age group, isn't it?
It's a really, really important thing, and I think we get a bit caught up sometimes thinking we have to be new and different when that repetition is a way of children integrating knowledge and feeling very strong about it and comfortable about it. So the more one repeats something and tries it through a different medium, the more successfully it's integrated. Serious traffic play here from some beautiful little people. Animation saying, get ready for shapes in space.
Those shapes in the animation are quite interesting too, because the 1 is a circle with just one line, the 2 is a semicircle that has 2 lines, 3 is a triangle, 4 is a square, 5 is a pentagon.
This is a fabulous shaped tractor. This is the ultimate tractor, I think.
The ultimate tractor that's made out of cardboard. A very clever art department. It's made out of old fridge boxes, in fact, as so many things in Hi-5 are actually made out of things that are easy to find around the house.
Tractor's stopped. Hey, maybe it's the engine. Let's go and take a look. Let's open up the engine bonnet first. Let's check the cogs. Now, the cogs have these special teeth all the way around the wheels, and they slot together when they move. If they don't slot together when they move...
Not only is it a wonderful shape in space itself, but then you can open up and see what's inside this space. Cogs and pistons.
Pistons push up.
Moving
This is
different ways.
educational even for me.
It's wonderful, isn't it? There's an enormous amount of information in this short segment.
Well, everything seems to be working. Or maybe it's the belts. Now, the belts have a special pair of wheels. And they sort of work together as a team. And they're joined together by a belt, just like this one. Stops one from speeding
Different
up.
shaped things move in different ways.
Around. No, I can't see any problem there.
We try very hard when we're writing the scripts on Hi-5 to write for both genders, which we acknowledge there are differences in genders and that genders, whether we have boys or girls, they can do anything. However, we try and make sure that we cater for extremes so that the little boy who's into tractors or the little girl that's into tractors are catered for, much as the little boy or the little girl who are into fairies may be catered for.
And I guess everybody likes to play with cogs and wheels and pistons.
Want to jump on a tractor that looks like this? Especially when you've got a singing motor.
The engine goes shudder, rattle and sputter, cogs turn round and round. Pistons push up and pistons push down, belt will spin around and around and around.
There's a nice little story here about what makes cars go.
I think we're ready to roll. Wrong way.
And all of these songs are sung live in the studio. So all of the physical things that Hi-5 do, they do at the same time as they're actually singing. And looking at the cameras and remembering everything that they have to do. Quite amazing.
Oh no.
Apparently when we filmed these breakers, Susan Oliver told me that the cast were having so much fun that she actually couldn't get them off these bumpers. They enjoyed it so much. They really are just like big kids themselves.
Stretch! Stretch! I'm being an engine this time, with my pistons going up and down and up and down, and my cogs turning around.
Now this is an amazing little coordination exercise.
Yes. Is this hand-eye coordination?
It's actually a lot of things all at once. You're using what's called gross motor, which is large motor action. You're also coordinating the opposites, arms and hands. You're doing opposite kind of movements by going sort of up in the air and down and around at the same time. And she is crossing the midline of the body with that circular movement. So all of these things are helping left-right brain integration, coordination. All good skills in themselves and wonderful to help with early reading, writing activities.
I wonder why.
Gosh, perhaps I better go back and do that myself.
Some
think so.
petrol.
This is the Sharing Stories animation, and in Sharing Stories we explore interpersonal and intrapersonal skills, and hopefully that animation shows how people can be part of a group and have fun, or part of an integrated group and still have fun.
And also change places, become someone else, try on a different hat.
Yeah. As obvious as that. Wayne the Crane.
Well, what can we say about Wayne? What I love about it is that, like many of our stories, although it is about a machine, it's really about a small child and how they feel in a situation, perhaps when they're not feeling really supported or not big enough to do things that they'd really love to do. So it's talking about machines and buildings and cranes and all of those kind of things, but it's really about how you feel.
So it means that the child at home who's actually not feeling big enough to do things can watch Wayne the Crane and feel that he's found a way around a problem, and maybe that child can too.
Yes, I think stories always allow you to identify with the main character, and because our actors are so involved, they're so delightfully in character, in role, that helps invite children into that imaginative world, and it becomes something that's very close to their own world.
That is true of all of Hi-5. Whenever they're a crane or a dog or a duck or whatever we ask them to be in these stories, they are always that character 100%, and we lose Tim or Charlie or whoever it is, and they become that character, which is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Just then, something very amazing
I like Charlie as the building foreman back there, and Kelly here as the circus entrepreneur. Nice little role definition there. Girls can too.
And Kathleen as the elephant. Who
Why
would have
not?
thought of casting Kathleen as an elephant?
Well, it's all in the way you look at things.
Stop to have a rest and now I'm...
And the other lovely thing is, in imagination, you can do anything. You can stretch your boundaries about who you are and what you can do. And I think if you believe it, often you can do it.
This looks like a very tricky job, Wayne. An elephant's very heavy and the wheelbarrow might fall over if you're not very gentle.
Wayne knew he could do the job. He was small enough, and gentle enough, and strong enough. He was just the right size for the job, so with a little bit of help.
All of Hi-5 love doing the sharing stories, and you can see that they do. They're obviously enjoying themselves.
And they're prepared to make absolute fools of themselves.
They are.
They
They
really
are.
don't mind dressing up because they are so involved. Like children, they lose themselves in the imaginary adventure.
Strongest crane in the city.
And of course that way they never make fools of themselves, in fact.
The crane was so happy. And so was the elephant.
Oh, Wayne, you're the greatest.
He might be little, but his engine's strong.
And they always come up with some crazy ideas like this to add to it all, to add to the fun.
Carry them low. Wayne the crane is the greatest we know.
And from that time on, Wayne the crane was the crane for the job. Any job at all.
Good job, Wayne. But now it's time for a song.
You're right. Come on, let's go.
And here we go with another song of the week. Back in studio with the audience joining in.
Most of our audience is bussed in from local schools and kindergartens, and we also have a few other people who win competitions to come into our audience.
This is usually quite an exciting experience for littlies, isn't it? They are in studio, they meet Hi-5, they learn the movements and the song, and have morning tea. And then they're actually part of the whole experience in camera.
It's also very good for all of us. Every single person that works on Hi-5, or virtually every single person that works on Hi-5, is involved on the day that our audience comes in. And we are able to actually witness firsthand how well the moves have worked with our audience, how well the lighting has worked, how well the costumes that Hi-5 are wearing have worked. We are able to revise how we think about children in a group.
And it is lovely to see those littlies joining in the simpler movements, the chorus movements. There's some very, very repeated actions that you see everybody go, I know this. And then the intricate way that Hi-5 sort of presents it as a studio piece.
It always surprises me how quickly the audience actually learn the choreography, much faster than any adult that is in the room.
Yes, I do remember a few occasions when adults tried to learn it and they were much slower.
It's incredible.
Oh, hi. Or maybe I should say, Sawubona. That's how you say hello in Swazi. Sawubona. It means I see you.
This is a segment where Tim actually shows us lots of things about music, but in this case it's an unusual musical instrument that most of us would not have seen, not even adults. And it's from Africa.
And he's exploring these wonderful, wonderful rhythms and sounds from Swahili. Beautiful, beautiful music, and introducing us to the cultural rhythms and patterns of African music.
And the different words as well, so that people are actually learning a few words of another language, which is fun.
The way he does it is interesting, Helena, because he presents it a syllable at a time, so that you're actually not only hearing the new word and thinking this means, but you've got the rhythm pattern inherent in it. So it's built up quite slowly, so that within a few moments you've got the rhythm, the word and the meaning. Very clever.
So what's Swazi for goodbye?
Oh, well, you're leaving, so you'd say Salakale, which means stay well.
Salakale?
Yeah, and we're staying, so we'd say Hambakale, which means go well.
So what's Swazi for I'll be right back after I send a fax, make a few phone calls, check my email and...
Of course, Nathan can take it to extremes.
I have no idea.
Me either. Salakale.
Hambakale. Hamba. Hambaga. Hambakale. Hambakale.
This is one of the times where we actually sing a cappella, and that is without musical accompaniment, which is one of the best ways, apparently, for children to actually learn about music, is with the unaccompanied human voice.
And when the group get together, we have these truly beautiful harmonies, all lovely voices singing together. And this isn't something that perhaps a lot of early childhood programs offer, but we really believe it's a very important part for children to hear the harmony.
Well, it's also a complete build of how a song or how music works, isn't it? I mean, here we heard just playing with the rhythm of the word, and then adding various voices together to play with harmony of that rhythm, and then adding to that musical accompaniment, and ending up with this wonderful song.
Salakale!
Salakale!
breaker was shot at the Westmead Children's Hospital. And these children are exploring music through rhythm.
They're having a wonderful time with sounds, aren't they, which is a foundation of early music.
Mm.
Charlie's really emphasising the rhythm in her feet in this, that feeling of moving your feet against the ground, which is not only the cultural way of the movement, but also helping children become aware of that particular feeling and that energy.
And it looks like great fun to do.
I think it is.
I see you. Hello.
We use a wide variety of children in our breakers, from various ethnic backgrounds, a wide variety of ages, and children with varying difficulties. It's a pity Kathleen can't see Jup Jup, because I'm sure he would make her laugh.
I'm sure he would. It's really quite nice to see Kathleen not quite getting this music right, and I think that was one of the ideas behind the writing of this, that even adults don't have to be omnipotent. Not that Kathleen ever is, but the idea of trying to play music is quite a challenge. I get the feeling that the way Jup Jup reacts to Kathleen's music is a bit like parents who hear sounds.
Close it like this. Pull it open.
It is true that with such a multi-talented bunch as Hi-5 are, occasionally we actually have to encourage them to not do things as well as they might be able to, just so that they don't look too perfect.
I don't think I'm getting it quite right yet. Whew. Hey, well, maybe I'll try some leg slapping instead.
Helen, when we write these segments, it would be interesting, I'm sure, for people to realise just how much actually goes into each segment and how we structure that with a theme of the week and then another theme of the day, and how we have different writers for each segment, each different specialist writers, and we have script editors, and then we have a script producer and an early childhood advisor and producers as well. So there's an enormous amount that actually goes into every segment.
Yes, it has that rather spontaneous happening effect, which is what we aim for, but it's very, very tightly controlled. Every word of the dialogue, every look on camera has been worked through so that from the point of view of the child that's watching, it's the most logical and the most effective.
What's my washing doing here?
We need the child to be able to follow the story, in inverted commas, what's happening on the set and how people are feeling and reacting, but also be able to follow what the particular segment is trying to produce. In this case, I think it's the logic of learning music.
Well, there generally is a simple story arc, isn't there, for each segment, like a beginning and a middle and an end for each segment. And in Kathleen's case, of course, it's complicated by the fact that because Jup Jup is always actually trying to change the story,
yes.
And she's always remaking the story, so that we end up with a different end than what one would have expected at the beginning of every Kathleen segment. But she does it so well, it always looks like it's just happening to her.
I love to play the accordion.
Yeah, that's it. Down and out, Tim. Man, please.
Well, there's a great bunch of musical instruments that these kids are playing with.
That's the way you learn. Hands-on experience.
slap, slap. I'm practicing a leg slapping dance. What do you think of this? Slap, 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 slap. It'd be better if there were 2 leg slappers.
Here's another of those extraordinarily complicated, simple
Sure, I'd love to. Okay, this is
exercises.
Slap, slap, cross hands, slap, slap.
Crossing the midline,
Slap,
using hands, using legs.
great.
And this is another one of those situations where, in fact, the presenter of the segment has something to show us. The other presenter that's coming in is learning along with the child at home.
Learning very fast.
Of course. But then the child at home probably is as well.
Okay, let's go.
And again, this is one of those exercises, if you like, that children play with, enjoy, but is also amazingly important for coordination and for left-right brain integration. And getting faster and faster. You try it.
It's a tricky game to play. Slap, 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 slap. We slap them night and day.
I love this particular clip. Some kids can do this really well. Some kids find it really hard. It's like everybody is good at something and you do it in your own way.
Which is another one of the underlying philosophies of Hi-5, that difference is celebrated. Whether it be different in music styles, as in this case, or difference of gender, difference of race, ethnic background, intelligence, whatever.
Everyone's unique.
Wonderful sound, Cal.
And important.
Hi, Cal. Did you hear that beautiful music?
Hear it? I was playing it on this steel drum.
Yeah, they're chatting about reggae music, chatting and demonstrating through song and drum rhythm. Kelly's actually a drummer, isn't she?
She is.
Yeah, she's good.
Actually, yeah.
So we use the talent when we can.
A very, very long way away.
How did you get such a wonderful
As well as being a singer and a dancer and an acrobat and
Jamaica?
many other things.
Jamaica be your friend, or Jamaica lend you the steel drum? It's a joke, Cal.
Wordplay about jokes, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, me too. Well, maybe we can
Young
have a
ones
bit of
love
Jamaica right here.
playing
some
with word
funky
jokes.
reggae music. On the island of Jamaica.
And this is also about the rhythm of words. Again, that idea of helping children learn to discriminate what they're hearing. It's developing listening skills so that they can use that in their more formal skills of reading and writing.
And whenever Hi-5 talk about anything, they're always very positive. They are actually very positive people in reality, but we always ensure that we talk about everything in a positive way, so that as they talk about other cultures, different music, whatever it is that they're talking about, it's a positive integration that children can actually take into their lives and learn from.
They're wonderful models, I think, for living in a really caring society.
Play the funky reggae music, hear the funky reggae beat. You can feel the reggae music on the beach or in the streets. That Jamaican reggae is very cheerful music, isn't it, Cal?
Yeah, it makes you feel all happy and bouncy.
I wonder what sort of clothes they wear in Jamaica.
Well, Chats, it's very, very hot there, so I guess they wear sort of colourful, bright summery clothes. A bit like this.
This is a very sweet ending. Our writer of this segment has young children and knows how they feel, and everybody likes to get in on the act and dress up and do it
Chats is
properly.
no exception.
Well, she is like a child in a way, isn't she?
Absolutely.
She's very happy here.
You can feel the reggae music on the beach down in the streets. And in our space too, Kelly.
Absolutely, Chats, absolutely.
these three are going to be future high-fivers by the looks of things.
Stretch! Stretch!
On the island of Jamaica, in the blue Caribbean Sea, they play the
Very easy for the child at home to get into reggae music with just a handkerchief around the head.
And move how you feel. Sometimes that's really important. Just not worry about steps and not worry about coordination, just groove it.
Just allow the music to take you. And this is particularly good music. Chris Harriott, who writes all of our music, excelled at this particular song, I believe, as he does so many times.
Hear the funky reggae music, hear the funky reggae beat. You can feel the reggae music on the beach and in the streets. Woo!
1, 2, 3, 4, high five. 1, 2, 3, 4, high five. 1, 2, 3, 4, high five. High five.
1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Shape recognition really does help children classify things, which again is a really important pre-reading skill and early writing skill.
And
So-
mathematical skill too.
Yes, because it's all about recognition and matching and classifying. So even though we're playing musical styles here, we've got a matching game to start with.
Hey, can you hear that electric guitar music? I wonder where it's coming from.
I wonder.
This must be a music machine. I bet Tim left it here for me. Guitar
And it's easy for the child at home to create something that looks like this musical machine, in fact, because it's just cutouts stuck on a bit of cardboard.
Very simple.
And
And
lots of imagination.
You can always get hold of a cardboard guitar and try some rockin' and rollin'.
Or anything else that looks vaguely like a guitar.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow. Didn't know I could play electric guitar like that. Wow.
One of the things that strikes me about this segment is Nathan's extraordinary energy. You know, when it's like he's switched on electricity, and I think what is good is that he's a model for children who have that kind of enormous, ebullient energy, and it's a really good, positive way to direct it. Mind you, now he's singing very softly.
But he's a very loving person, and I think this segment really shows that. I'm sure that the children at home really can feel that, even though he's playing it up at this stage, but nevertheless he's a very loving person.
And a pair of shoes. Gee, that's a funny thing to leave in a music machine. A pair of shoes. Hey, they make a tapping sound.
Yes, he's a really
shoes must
great
be
model for movement in space and helping kids develop a body awareness and that sense that I can do it.
And I hope as well that he's a very good model for boys who would actually like to dance, because he's definitely a boy's boy, and yet he dances so well, and in fact sings so well. He does so many different things.
Shine a spotlight on me. Let me do my thing. I shake it, swing it, turn it, fling it, 'cause music is my thing. Whoa. Okay, you can stop now, feet. Come on. Oh, Tim, can you turn the music machine off, please?
You think I should?
Oh, please, Tim. Come on.
These two have a wicked sense of humour between them,
What do you think of my music machine, eh?
whether they're in front of camera or behind it. They are so funny.
Kids can too.
and very well.
You can guess that Charlie's segment might be something to do with feet.
I've got my tap shoes.
Charlie does get some help, of course, with the choreography for these segments, and the writer who writes her segments writes great detail about what moves that she needs to make in consultation with you, of course, Helen.
Yes, and she tries them out on her gang of small children at home.
But Charlie also does a lot of this herself, doesn't she? She brings a lot to it herself.
Now the other foot. Toe, heel, toe, heel.
And she has a real
Great.
sense of
Now to the side.
what children can
Toe,
cope
heel,
with and
toe,
how to
heel,
simplify
and the
things
other
so
foot.
that it's
Toe, heel,
not
toe,
something
heel.
far away in the
Give credit.
distance that you just watch and go,
I
oh.
can tell a song.
She brings it very close.
Just give me some music.
Every member of Hi-5 is very aware of what the educational content of their particular segment is, and they ensure that
Is my thing.
they manage to get that fact across to the children at home. Another sharing stories, and this time it's Kathleen's turn to narrate.
They like narrating almost as much as they like acting out, don't they?
They do, as it happens. It's very funny.
In the bath.
Because the narrator gives the story a continuity. What we're setting up in the stories is an imaginative world, and the narrator sort of helps. Really, I suppose it's also a pre-reading skill to sort of give continuity to the story, and each time there's a sort of comment, a framework of that adventure that's happening up there.
And it's also wonderful for the children at home to see Hi-5, who they, I dare say, love, each individual member of Hi-5, to seeing the member that they perhaps love the most actually enjoy reading the story, acting it out in various ways, as though they're making stories up, but also getting lots of interesting ideas from the books.
It was time for the concert to start.
Because that's a wonderful model too. Children can go off and play acting out stories, these stories that we present, or making up their own stories. And as you said, that idea of reading from a book, you often find little ones picking up books and making up a story, but they are reading. This is a story about a funny bunny rabbit. And they'll put into it anything that's happened in their own lives. But it's an approximation. It's sort of getting the idea that reading is important.
It's a pre-reading skill to actually just pick up a book and turn the pages,
Yep.
is it not? One of the interesting things about all of our sharing stories is they're written by another specialist writer, and as with all of our writers, she actually draws from her own experience. She has 2 children of her own, and she brings so many of these stories are actually stories from her household.
Yes, we look forward to those writing briefs when we hear the next adventure of what's been happening at home. But she has a wonderful way of being able to offer children an identification point, how the characters are feeling. She really gets an insight into. And in this one, there's an idea that the young boy is a bit overwhelmed. He can't do what he really, really wants to do, sing and be fabulous with his brother's band.
As with all of our sharing stories, whatever the problem is overcome by the end of the story. A positive solution has been found.
And usually that positive solution is dependent both on the support you have from other friends and how you deal with something yourself.
And that from which you find within.
Mm-hmm. And of course, here is a wonderful, silly solution. Maybe you don't need to take the whole bath on stage, but humour
Maybe
is
just the little rubber ducky.
just the rubber ducky. Wonderful to be able to explore family situations and stress ideas through humour.
Phil was so happy in his bath that his singing sounded fantastic.
It's good that other people can feel the same way you do.
But there was just one thing missing from that performance.
We know you.
Okay, so let's go on and sing another song.
This song is about what we were talking about earlier, which is feeling the rhythm through your body, feeling the music and allowing it to take you and move your body and enjoy the sensation of the different rhythms.
Yes, and once again you have all the opportunities for coordination skills and self-expression. But I think this song is about another central theme of Hi-5, which is about offering this vibrant, wonderful world of music, movement and laughter. And believing, as we do, that's the way kids learn.
But also bringing us together. Music makes me want to move with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just something that we do on our own, it actually is something that we share. And that's very much what we would like to encourage everyone to do.
Makes me want to move with you. Hear that rhythm, it makes you want to swing.
Hear the music and start to sing.
Sing the song and sing it out loud.
Make yourself heard above the crowd.
Music makes me want to move.
When I see this, Helena, I just want everybody to know how much we care about kids. I think everybody is just so dedicated and really, really, really believes in children.
It is true, everyone who works on this show really respects our audience, and we try so hard to just put in those extra few percent that we can all bring, each of us brings, to make it a show that children will enjoy, that parents can share with them, that will empower children and hopefully their parents and bring families together.